Thanks, folks, for joining in for a webinar on unlocking the future of software testing with AI. We at BrowserStack are happy to host you for this session today. I'm Kunal, product manager at BrowserStack. Will be taking you through our AI roadmap and how Swivel is using AI to achieve their use cases, for which we have Nagamani. He'll help introduce himself. Nagamani?
Sure. Thank you, Kunal. Hi there. This is Nagamani, and I'm a director over quality engineering and DevOps at Swivel, which is a company of SWBC based out in Texas, United States. Very thankful to BrowserStack giving me this opportunity. I'm very much excited over here. Looking forward to participate.
Thanks, Nagamani, for joining us today and helping us with this session. Before we start, I think we'll move to a few housekeeping rules, housekeeping items. If you can move to the next slide. Today's session would be an approximate 60-minute long session. It is being recorded. All the participants would be muted. Only the hosts would be chiming in. The recording would be made available at the end to all the attendees, and there will be a dedicated Q&A session at the end, so please hold on for that. There is a Zoom window where you can ask your questions. We will pick up questions for that and ask them at the end, towards the end, all together. Moving on. So agenda for today is AI-enabled quality engineering is a topic that Nagamani will present. Swivel and Percy, the use case and the customer study of how they're using Percy. AI in testing and BrowserStack is basically how we are looking at AI in testing, and the last would be Q&A section, right? So let's get started. Nagamani?
Sure. Okay. So once again, welcome everyone. So as Kunal said, the agenda today is to understand why we need AI in testing. Before that, most of people ask why AI. Well, we all know it's not a question anymore because we all are using AI now in our day-to-day life in some form. Recently, Gartner did a survey with 100+ leaders in industry, and most of them, at least 55% of them, says that they are using generative AI in their company to some capacity. Of course, ChatGPT is number one in that. We have GitHub Copilot number two, and then follow on you can see on the screen. However, the message over here is as AI becomes more relevant, more and more company will start incorporating it into their SDLC lifecycle. So that's the thing. And then this is the main focus I will be touching upon in the future slide. So next slide. So when I say more and more company will start using AI, basically they will be using in two forms. AI assistant and AI agent. So what's the difference between AI assistant and AI agent? Well, AI assistant is, as name suggests, it's just an assistant. It will assisting you doing in your work, but won't do the work. For example, you can ask ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot to write test cases for login screen, and Copilot will go and suggest you some generic test cases, but then it's up to you to accept that and modify it and make it usable for your use case. And also, if you ask ChatGPT to go and execute that test cases, probably it won't do that because ChatGPT don't know your environment, and it does not know the infrastructure behind it, application knowledge. All those things will be there with the AI agent. So AI agent will be more will have more capability, and we can say it's more autonomous. It can do the work on your behalf. So that's the pretty much difference between AI assistant and AI agent. What that means to us is right now we are working solo. However, going forward, quality engineers within the quality engineering organization, skills need to be upgraded to work with AI assistant and AI agent. So next slide. So when I say like quality engineers has to work with AI assistant and AI agent, let's understand like how quality engineering organization will change. So this slide shows pretty much how we are operating now, right? So we have quality engineers in team. They get requirement. They do the requirement analysis, create test cases based on that. Once test cases are finalized, they do the execution. If we if we find any defect, we report that and work with developer to fix. And then once that is fixed, we just retest them. So that's kind of like our day-to-day life cycle over here. This will change a little bit when AI comes, because like here we are working solo, as I said. Going forward, we will be having AI agent as a companion to us who can help us doing all this work. So let's see how it will be. Next slide. So in the next slide, this slide, so you see we have quality engineers. So that means like our job is not replaced. We are just getting better skilled, right, for future demand. So we are here, we as a QA engineer, and we also have AI assistant or agent with us. What does it mean? Like we are pretty like we will be getting a skill to work with prompt. So say like when a requirement comes to us, we write prompt to our AI agent and saying, hey, just create a test cases for me for this requirement. AI agent will go and create the test cases for us, but then we should not trust blindly because there are risks which I will be covering it later. We should see the test cases, validate it based on our domain knowledge, based on our technical knowledge, application knowledge, to see if the test cases are right. And if there are any changes, then we have to tell AI agent that tell AI agent to modify that, and AI agent should be modifying that and should be learning in the process, right? And once we are okay with the test cases, then we can write again second prompt to AI agent saying, now I'm good with the test cases. Let's go and do the execution. AI agent will go and do the execution for us. Again, it's again the job come to us to understand like if execution happens up to the mark the way we are expecting, or are we getting any kind of false positive or false negative, all those things we need to make sure that the results are exactly the way we are expecting. And if anything is not meeting our expectation, we have to go and retrain our model so that it can suggest a better result in the future, right? We can even use AI to fix some of our problem, which is just related with our own domain. For like if our scripts are broken or something like that, we can use AI to self-correct it while doing the execution. I will be covering more on the use cases, like what are the use cases we have where we can use AI effectively. That's a slide coming up. But bottom line over here is like, this is how we have to go and work with AI agent and during execution. Once everything is right, and then we are satisfied with uh, uh, please, once we are satisfied with the result, we will we'll analyze the result, and we'll see like, okay, if the defects are right or like the real defects or not. Yeah. So once we understand that the defect is real, then we can ask AI to go and log that defect in our like defect management system. So that means like there are many use cases over here that we want to that organization can consider utilizing AI to that. It's obviously a journey, and organization has to uh, like take this journey based on their use cases, which I will be covering in the next slide. Can we just go to the next slide? Okay. So what are the different use cases we have? I think this is most interesting, and I will take a little bit time over here. So there are many use cases, but bottom line, if we understand those use cases and what's their impact, we can pretty much say that these use cases directly impact on these three metrics, key metrics. The first one is reduce defect leakage. Second one, improve time to market, and third one is improve test coverage. I'll touch upon each of these one by one. So when I say reduce defect leakage, it's basically uh, understand like how we are getting defect in production at this point of time. Currently, we are writing test cases as a solo. While doing that analysis, while doing that exercise, sometimes we miss the edge case scenario, or sometimes we forget to consider some of the data profile or user profile that that sometimes gives us a production defect later in future, basically. So when we have AI, our model can be trained in such a way where we can go and say, hey, these are my test cases. Can you please see these test cases and suggest if I'm missing any edge case scenario, or if I'm missing any huge if I'm missing any like some user profile or any other combination that I should be factoring based on my previous production incidents. AI should be able to give us the suggestion, right? So once we have that suggestion, and once we find that is okay to include in our test cases, that means we are capturing that issue before even testing starts, right? And that has a direct impact on how defect gets leaked into production, right? Uh, there are many use cases around it. One use case is my favorite, is like, we can also use it for uh, pinpointing our regression. So right now, like most of us are quality engineers over here, and they should be agreeing on it, that at this point of time, either we overdo regression or underdo regression, right? Uh, Overdo regression is okay because at least we are cautious, and we are making sure that nothing gets escaped to production. But then at the same time, we are wasting time, right? If we underdo the regression, that means we are taking risk, and there may be a scenario where something gets escaped to production, and we will have a production outage, which will be costly, right? If I have AI used in this scenario, we can pretty much train that with our past execution uh, history and the defect that our automation scripts are reporting, and use that to get a like set of regression test cases that we can directly use for our releases. So it's like a just right kind of scenario, right? Which is not overdoing or underdoing. We just use AI to say, hey, these are my changes, and what do you suggest, right? Uh, and AI suggested some test cases. We have confidence to use that, and then we use that, and then save time. And at the same time, we are also reducing the defect leakage that we may have in production, right? Uh, second thing is that it's AI will enable us to do a lot more automation in our process. So right now, whenever we talk automation, at least in the quality engineering space, we are always talking automation in automated execution, basically, right? So we just go and execute test cases automatically. We hardly speak about creating test cases automatically. AI will do that. And if you see, like, if we take significant amount of time during test planning, we do the requirement analysis, we write test cases, we review test cases, and this takes time, right? If I have AI over here, this scenario can be automated. And as I said, right, uh, it is automated, but then it is up to us to understand whether the result that we are getting from AI is meeting our expectation, or it need to be corrected, or whatever it is. It's us who should be taking the final call whether we should be using it or not, right? Uh, that's that's one significant things that we can do with the AI, and will have a direct impact on improving time to market. Same thing, we all know, like we can go and execute the test cases automatically. We all see like one main problem with our automation, where people say that automation is great, but then it does not work, because when the time comes, it does not work in production, right? Because tests are flaky. It changes. It has dependency on the data. It has dependency on the environment. It has dependency on like if like XML path and all those things if it is a UI related test, right? We can fix it during the runtime if we have an AI solution around it and train it properly. So repairing broken test cases is a great use case that we can use it, and we see a lot of tools also around it in the market. We can also do a automated defect triage, which means like we right now we are having defect for a big project. It's not for the small projects and all, but say like we have big project or migration project or something where we have so many defects, and we take good amount of time to analyze those defects, put severity and priority around it, communicate that with project owners or developers. It takes time. If we have AI, a lot of things can be automated over here, and we'll have a huge saving, which in turn we can give it to project, or we can utilize it in doing some other things, enhancing our skills and all actually. But overall, it's impacting the overall time to market metrics in which we ship the project or product to production, right? The third one, which is very important right now, whether it's agile or non-agile or waterfall, right? Most of the time, we are focusing on functional testing, right? And then we are very much tied with the requirement that is given to us, right? Uh, with with AI, we can improve it basically. So when I say we can improve it, we can include more testing, which we are currently ignoring it. And when we say ignoring it, it's not on purpose, just because we are taking a risk, because the is our ROI things, like the amount of effort we are putting to do that testing, and the result that we are getting is really not meeting, uh, not meeting the expectation. So we management decides to take the risk and saying, okay, let's move forward. One such example is visual testing, right, which is very important. Visual testing is directly impacting your brand, right? So say like if you have a web application, or if you have a mobile application that is not aligned properly in some of the devices, right? Which you generally test all the devices, but then you test all the devices functionally, whether your application works or not, but you don't go to each device and see whether your UI is coming properly on those UI or not, devices or not, right? If some region, if it is not coming proper, it has a direct impact on your brand. People can share that on social media. It can impact your brand value. So it's even if we get issues once in a while, it has a huge impact, right? So with AI, we can do that. And I have a use case over here, which I did in my company, like implementing Percy. I will be covering that, and I will be covering like in which scenario I have used it, and how AI helped me achieving that. So I will cover that. Similarly, when we write test cases, as I mentioned, there are many things we can include in our test cases. We can definitely include edge case scenario. We can definitely include scenario based on the past production incidents. We can even include the test scenario based on the user sentiment, right? So you have a AI which can be watching the user sentiment or user feedback on your internal channel or even external channel, or social media, and report some of the defect that are some of the issues that we can think including in our regression going forward, and enhancing our regression. So that's a pretty good thing. Like generally we don't do it now, but with the AI we can do it. Uh, Same thing, not just the functional way, also the non-functional things. When most of the time our company grows, they add new customer, they add new products, and we generally struggle to understand like how this new customer or these new products will impact our performance, our application performance in production. We can use AI to predict the some of those behaviors, and like take some kind of like a preventive action before. So a lot of great use cases we have around like AI. But as I said, we should not be very much excited about AI, saying, okay, yeah, now we have AI, let's use it, let's use all this solution without having a proper plan in the place, because there is a risk associated with it. And what are those risks? I'll cover that in my next slide. Okay. So when I say risk, I know, like, since, as I said in my first slide, AI is not something new at this point of time. We all have started using it in our day-to-day life. And we should have probably noticed something, that sometime AI gives us wrong result. And the term is called AI hallucination, right? It's not a theory, it's a real phenomenon, right? And there are two regions for that. So when I say, like, the biggest the two main factors that contributes to AI hallucination are insufficient data and also the incorrect data. And how it impacts, I'll explain it now with a very like use case that I have just mentioned in a previous slide. So say, like, you have AI agent, and that agent job is to give you test cases. But then, while training the agent, you have not given all the combination of the test cases. And we all know that when we work with the enterprise application, our applications are complex, right? It depends on multiple data sets. It depends on multiple user profile, roles, etc. Right? And application behavior changes based on those limitations. If our AI agent does not have view on all those combinations, it won't give you all the edge cases that you are expecting, right? So that means if you just blindly trust it and don't take any action, the result will be the same, right? There will be a production leakage, a defect leakage in the production, and then subsequently it will add to the outage, right? Same thing will happen if your AI is not trained properly with all the right data. For example, right? For example, say, like, you are trying to get exact regression for your change. Now, the agent, in this case, the agent will be watching your previous execution and also watching the defects that it had reported. What if your test is flaky, right? And most of the failure that you are getting is not because of the functionality error, it's just because of the script error that you are having. That means your AI model is trained with wrong data, right? Just because you didn't have right maturity in your automation, and you just we are just too much excited and we just want to pilot this AI agent to our production. We didn't consider maturing our automation journey before, right? This is very harmful, because what will happen, like, it will give you incorrect result. And if we are not cautious, then it can either give you wrong regression sets, or it can even give you more regression, and you will end up putting the same amount of time that you were putting it before. And at the same time, you are taking extra risk also, right? So AI useful, and as I say, it's a journey, and one should be planning it very carefully. Otherwise, it can even give us a costly production issues. All right. So how should we plan our AI journey is covered in my next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. So when you say, like, to have the AI implementation approach covers in the two phases, right? Like, first, you want to roll out AI capability in the organization. And second, after you roll out the capability in your environment. So when I say you want to, like, before rollout, that means we should not be too much excited, and we should not be using all the use case. Instead, we should identify the use case that makes proper sense to us, right? Based on ROI, based on organization vision, based on our priority, our problem statement. We should understand what AI we want to, or what AI capability we want to implement within the team. Once we identify that, we make sure that we collect all the data data combinations, make sure that our model is trained accordingly so that we can use it confidently. Once the model is trained, we should not just put it in production blindly. Instead of that, we should conduct a POC while keeping the existing operation the way it is running now. So we have to conduct a POC to understand like whether the result that we are getting is meeting our expectation or exceeding our expectation or not even not meeting our expectation. If it is exceeding, that's great. Meeting, that is also great. But if it is not meeting our expectation, that means we have to go back and think like what went wrong, right? And whether it's data or something else, or whether that AI, the use case, we don't have right infrastructure or right environment with us. There could be many things around that, but we need to understand it, we need to correct it, and then train the model again. Once the model is trained and our POC is successful, we need to slowly and gradually put that in production, right? We need the region. Any mistake around any mistake here can cause a costly defect to us in production, right? So we need to build confidence, and as we build the confidence, we can decide to roll it out completely in production. So once it get roll out to production, and then my second phase start, which is after rollout, we need to always monitoring its performance. We should not be relaxing and thinking, okay, now we have AI and it has all the smart capability, all good. No, because our application changes, data sets changes, and so our AI model should also adapt to it actually, right? So we need to monitor the performance, we need to see how the results are coming, right? If any changes and if we want to retrain the model, let's go and retrain the model and then again execute it in production. So that's pretty much the AI implementation approach, which is 2 page, which is very critical. If you don't take this in account, result could be counterproductive. Next slide. With that, I just wanted to cover a use case that I have implemented in my organization, Civil. So just to give a quick background about Civil. Civil is a fintech company. We enable transactions across multiple credit unions and financial organization in United States. We are in San Antonio, Texas. We have multiple channels through which customers can integrate their payment system to our infrastructure. One such integration is the Swivel Pay. Swivel Pay is a digital one. As I said, it's a digital one. That means it should work across all devices, internet, everywhere basically, right? And that's pretty much was our complexity. So as I said, like we are a payment enablement company. One might think like, okay, why it is complex, right? Because payment means you have your things that you want to pay. Say like you want to do a loan payment, that means you just have your loan account listed, and then you just select that loan account and enter your details, whether card details or bank details, and do the payments. Why it is complex? Well, it's complex because, as we say, like we are not working just for one company. We are enabling transaction for multiple credit unions in United States. That means each credit unions has their own requirement. Some may have requirement of giving their user a capability of login through user ID and password. Some may say no user ID and password. Instead of that, they should be using member ID or password. One credit unions can come and say that my member don't have to log in at all, right? So these are the complexities just for the login screen. Just think about that. The more we go inside, some may say that I may only accept credit card payment. Some may say, okay, I will accept both. Some may say I can accept credit card, ACH, but also Apple Pay, Google Pay, those kind of stuff, basically. So when I see that, when I took the count of all the possible combination, major configuration combination, we have 10 plus major configuration there. And if I add all those, we have 80 unique screens that changes based on that comes up based on the configuration that a user may have with their credit unions, right? And just think about like this unique 80 unique screens we need to execute on all the devices, like 15 plus devices and 3 browsers, like major browsers. Uh, it was really impractical for us to do a visual testing across everything because it will take too much time, right? So as I said, we were taking risk, and we were just not doing this testing. It was a calculated risk. We had a couple of incidents here and there, but we were knowing that we didn't have this capability until we got Percy, right? So when I got Percy, I saw that its capability. We did a POC, and it was really helping our use case here because with the Percy now, we can use one script, which we already have it for our functional testing, but then we can extend that script to do the visual testing for us. Now we are getting the additional capability from Percy where it goes and smartly, like it checks like if my UI is changing across devices. And if it is changing across devices, uh, it flags us, right? And I think a lot of us has worked with an image comparison tool over here, and they will agree that all image comparison tool, what happens like either it flags too much of noise, like like you have a lot of dynamic content and then it flags all the dynamic content, and then we end up putting a lot of effort understanding like, okay, those issues are real issues or not. But when we have AI in the form of Percy over here, it smartly ignores the dynamic content. So it just go and check my layout and see if my layout is perfect or not, irrespective of, my script is saying check customer name is ABC, while we are having customer name ABC, like some different customer name in during execution, So it smartly ignores the dynamic content. Sometimes if even it flags something saying, hey, you have a defect, and we find that it's not a defect, we can just go and say it's not a defect. It learns from it, and next time it ignores it, actually. And that's what I say, like, even if we have AI with us, the control is with us, right? We should be taking call whether the tool is working for us or against us, right? And if it is not giving the result, we need to make sure that it has to retrain the way we want, right? So it learned from the mistake. All these things was super good. And earlier, and we included after POC, we included this tool in our tool set. And now earlier, the testing which we were ignoring just because it was impractical, now we are doing this testing just in 25 minutes, right? And making sure that we don't have this kind of issue in production. So this is a great case study I just wanted to cover over here. I think I'm almost at time, and I'm at the end of my slide. I'll hand it over to Kunal from here.
Hey, Ragmani, that was
Hello.
insightful. Thank you for taking us through your use case and how you see the space evolving. I think we have a very similar view as to how we see the space evolving, and I think that's where the next slide comes in, right? If you can, so this is how we see the testing landscape, right? We started off with manual testing. Automated testing came in to help improve test coverage, test productivity, as well as reduce a lot of cycle times, right? Um, Now, that's where the next step, that is AI assisted testing, will take us as well. It will supercharge productivity. It will take test coverage even higher while reducing cycle time. Right? It's the next step, moving from an automated testing to an AI assisted testing. What we envision is, we by solutions we will unlock more than 50% productivity gains by 2026, and that's what we are working towards. If you can move to the next slide, that's where BrowserStack AI jumps in. We have a few wins that we would like to share, which will go through in the next slide. So these are very early investments that we're making. We have a lot of beta solutions out there. We'll like to call out two of them specifically. We are seeing close to 90% faster AI driven test case creations based on product requirements. So this is a solution that is available today within our test case management tool, um, where given a product requirement document, we are helping create or generate test cases um, that would take a lot of time to generate. So it will it's we're seeing close to 90% productivity gains just with that solution. The other solution that we're looking at is a self-healing AI-driven self-healing based capability within our automation as well as local automation solutions, where we are seeing up to 40% improvements with build failures, reduction in build failures. So these are very early indicators, and we are going full throttle, making a complete suite, um, supercharging all our current products with meaningful AI-based solutions that can assist quality engineering all throughout the life cycle. So that's where we look at how we look at the space. And yeah, moving on to question and answers next. So Nagamani, I think based on what you've had for folks, I think we have had a lot of questions come in, right? I'll ask a few, and if you could help enlighten with your uh, context and knowledge in the space. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we have a question that comes in where folks want to know how they can incorporate AI in their daily lives for the testing use case. So yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, like it should be like uh, the answer can be broad, right? Like so uh, obviously when you want to use AI in daily life, I'm assuming that the person is asking daily life as per his role, right? Or his or her role
Yes, within the testing space.
within the testing space, right?
Yeah.
So just said, it should be very calculated. All right, you like it should like they should know like what problem statement they are solving, right? Uh, Quick wins should be helpful here because we need to have confidence around us, and if we just jump and pick a very complex use case in the first place and it gives us a counterproductive result, I think that can uh, give us a negative sentiment around the organization and will deter organization to take any further steps on the AI. I think that was one of the finding also on the Gartner side. They say like like they want to use AI, but then because of this AI hallucination, they got the wrong result and then find that AI won't work on them. It will work, as I said, like we should have a right strategy around it, and we should have a right view, and then take a calculated steps.
Got it. Got it. Moving on to the next question. Just give me a second. I'm going through the list of questions that I have. You in one of your slides, you had pointed to the self-healing solution, right? Could
Mhm.
you explain a bit more as to what is the use case, where would it come in, how would it help?
So pretty much so like self-healing when we so most right now if you see self-healing in the UI testing perspective, your self-healing comes, say like you have automated test, and when you have a certain XPath while coding, while coding the automation test, but then during execution the XPath changed, right? So if we have AI solution, it can self-heal and just change the AI, smartly detect like, okay, XPath has changed. The field is still there, but just the location changed. The field location changed, or the name got changed, right? So it should smart enough to understand that. That is one aspect which I think widely popular. But then other step that can even come in future related with the data. Say right. So say like your screen is still good, right? Then nothing changed. But then you have some you have a data. Uh, for example, like customer can make only one payment, right? And for some reason, while executing the regression, customer already has a pending payment and our automation failed just because customer has pending payment, you know so if we have self-healing capability, probably it could sense that, and it can reset the data based on the capability that we will provide AI. So even it can go to that extent. Inshallah.
Got it. Got it. So it helps with improving build stability and
Awesome.
overall success rate of your builds. Got it.
Correct. Yeah, because right now the like lot of people, lot of organization, they go manual testing because they say automation does not work, right? And they have a valid point over there because they find at the right time where they really need automation, it breaks, and they don't have a confidence around it, and then team ending up doing all the things manual again, right? A lot of organization it has where the automation is not mature. So like AI can help there as well.
Got it. Got it. And I think we got a bunch of questions around safety, privacy, along and about sensitive data.
Yeah,
So I think what people would know, interested to know is like how safe is it to share data with these agents that you talk about, or how sensitive data around unreleased features, or even test data, your credentials, and and if even if you send it for training, how safe are these, and how do you work
right.
with them basically?
So if you recall my first slide when where I said like why AI, and 55% of them say like they're already using generative AI, like 45% who were not using AI, generative AI at this point of time, security was the main concern there, you know. So there obviously is a risk because we all know the data breach that happens, and with more AI, like with more SaaS product and AI solution, this risk is there. But then right, like companies has to like make sure that the uh, security organization, they evaluate the risk properly, understand what product they're allowing to implement, what kind of security policy that company has. uh, like we really need to be careful around that, right? So only when we are super confident about the security practice, we should allow that AI agent within our environment.
Got it. So basically, what you mean to say is that security is made sure that when like security is there by how they build it, but it's the
Mhm.
onus is still on us to make sure that the right checks are in place to be doubly sure. Uh, right. Fair enough.
I think
Uh,
initially the same kind of concern we had with the cloud also, right? They will say like, okay, how
yeah.
can we move our
Yeah.
infrastructure to cloud, right?
Mhm.
But then we need to evolve basically. So security, what threat we need to understand the threat, and we need to
Got it.
make our according to that.
Got it. And it's a slow process where you just keep on gaining confidence as you go through it. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think this is more towards. I think it's more to understand how you use AI personally, or say within your team.
yeah.
What percentage, or say how do you see AI based test cases written within your test suites today? And do you see that number increase soon?
That's my next project. And I say like I'm excited, but at the same time also cautious, right?
Hmm.
I'm not super excited, actually.
Hmm.
So I have I have successfully implemented Percy because I know the risk is less here, right? But at the same
Hmm.
time, I can show my management that AI works, right? Now I want to see like how we can have an agent in my organization where it helps us writing manual test cases or automated test cases, right? Uh, there are couple of solution around it. I'm still figuring it out. Uh, but I think that's one huge case where I think uh, will not have too much impact on production because it's just the test cases, and it's ownership on us to review
Hmm.
the test cases, whether those test cases are right or if you're missing or whatever it is, right? But say like even if it is taking initially, if it is saving 20% of our test planning effort, that's huge, right?
Hmm.
And as we get confidence around it,
Hmm.
we will be using it for for more success actually.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Again, I think something that wanted to like people wanted to know your preference or based on your experience with dealing with AI-based tools. What's which models or which model providers do you think have worked the best for you? Like there are a lot of them in the market, right? There is
And at
OpenAI,
this
there
point of
is.
time, I really don't have a correct answer for it.
Mhm.
I know there are many there, GPT-4, there are so many models there,
Yeah.
right? It's super early for me to answer this question. I want to
Mhm.
evaluate a lot of these capability and try to give the answer next time.
Sure, sure. Um, so I think this is more for people who have like who are very matured in their automation journey and have a huge suite of test cases. And then now they want to adopt AI-based test cases or AI-generated test cases within their repositories. Now,
Mhm.
what kind of challenges do you see them going through while adapting their older scripts versus, say, the new ways of doing automation?
Well, challenge will be twofold, not just the technical challenge. As any change that we do in our working way,
Mhm.
whether it's shifting from waterfall to agile, you know, or
Mhm.
doing from like shifting from manual testing to automated testing. It's always a cultural change, actually,
Yeah.
right? So we need to make sure that we understand that change and our team adopts that change. They are excited about that, and they should be
Mhm.
perceptive about the change. Then only we can bring the change. And if we do that as a first step, then the
Mhm.
second step is the technical challenge, right?
Got it.
Like you need to see like, okay, what kind of tool you will be using, or your previous question, right?
Mhm.
What model, like, are you going to, can you use the existing pre-trained model that we have in the market, or some of the extensions that we have in the market,
Mhm.
right? Or maybe some of the product itself which is there, and then we don't have to put too much effort training that model, but it's already pre-trained, and we just plug in our data and it works, right?
Mhm.
So there are so many things, but I think all those will come down to the use case, right? What do you want to do? What kind of preparation you have for it? What kind of data you have for it? And then do a POC and take it to the next step.
Got it. Got it. Um, Yeah, I think this may or may not be related to AI, but I think it's more related to your experience with automation testing, right? Which is your preferred automation framework? Like, which tools do you? What kind of
We
a
are
setup do
using
you like?
we are using Selenium, and I think still
Hmm.
this still remains my preferred tool. Actually, I know there are a lot of solutions, but I
Hmm.
believe Selenium has a lot of capability, a lot of support in the market. So I still believe Selenium is my favorite.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm seeing a few questions that are directed to BrowserStack, and I'd like to pick few of them, and I'll come back to a few questions pointed at you, Nagamani, as well.
sure.
Um, um, yeah, I think one of the questions where people want to understand is what kind of safeguards do we have in place while dealing with these AI technologies. We have a strong security and compliance check that we go through for procuring any tool that we deal with, and all our data is segregated based on tenants. So anything and everything that with uh, is true for any kind of test data that you send to us today applies to solutions that are with AI based solutions as well. And yeah, that's the commitment that we continue with. um, the other question which was people want to understand what kind of models or tools do we use to generate test cases or any of our current solutions. Um, I think there are a mix of those. There is not one correct answer for different use cases. Based on use cases, we evaluate um, on a very strong test bed as to which model or which kind of a solution or what kind of a setup would work the best. And based on that, we take a call on which ones we should be using for that solution. So there are certain kinds of models that are creative, whereas a lot of ones that are a lot more like not deterministic, but a lot more for different kinds of jobs. So we evaluate them and choose which one is the best. And irrespective of the tool that we use, we make sure that the compliance as well as data security, privacy, segregation checks are in place. Um, um, any take on zero step building automated tests with AI and Playwright? Does BrowserStack support this? Um, Nimal, this is very much, we have evaluated this and this is very much on our roadmap. I think you can see some part of it today released within our low-code automation tool. We will soon have a lot of different ways of interacting with the solution uh, to build automation. Um, it's a very good question, Nimal. Thanks for bringing that up. I think I'm just going through. I think there's again a question regarding Percy. Maybe Nagmani, if you can Percy detect buttons and provide the XY coordinates of those buttons? Um, I think Percy's use case is more towards visual diff. Maybe this is more towards understanding the. It's a bit more of a different use case. Percy though deals with images and image processing. This is a bit maybe outside of the scope of Percy to do today. Um, I think taking in
I think
the
your
last few
low code
questions.
should do that, right? Your low code, no code should do that, right? I don't know. You have to.
Yeah, I think as a product use case, I think hard to comment there. But from Percy's use case standpoint, I would say that it's a different use case. It's not a Percy's use case today. Um, I think I'm trying to summarize a few more questions that I can quickly find. Um, can AI help identify potential cases that are missed? Is something that people want to know. Like you're already writing a lot of cases now. Can AI help uncover cases that are, you're missing those, and where do you see value, AI adding value there?
And that's pretty much included in my use case, actually. Yeah.
So you do see that value is what okay. So basically how it would be like you have a suit that you write in and AI would help cover those edge cases or corner cases or negative testing scenarios and can help with a lot of content there.